and hopefully my tips and tricks, and as well as how to prepare for art after school, if you want to do art school, will be able to help you everywhere. So yeah, let's get into my presentation. So first of all, I'll give a little brief description of who I am. I'm a visual artist, a dancer, public speaker, founder of FIS Voice-Shimea, advocate for the deaf community, which you already know by now that I'm deaf. And I graduated at FIS in class of 2022. And I received a 7 in IB Visual Art, 7 in process portfolio, and exhibition, and 6 in my comparative study. And I'm currently studying Bachelor of Fine Arts with honors in Academy of Minerva Hanze in Groningen, Netherlands. That's a long name. So just keep in mind, when I was in IBR, it was a different set of timing because of COVID. We had a few relaxed rules. So now you're back in the typical IB system. So hopefully my tips will be able to help you. I try to put as general tips as possible that will help you in preparing your process portfolio, your comparative study in the future, and the exhibition. So basically, the first thing I would recommend is to drop everything and first read the guidelines, because that was one mistake that I did, that I did not review my guidelines until, let's say, closer to the end of 11th grade, and that was a big mistake. Then I had to redo the entire process portfolio before grade 12 started, and that created a lot of pressure because of extended essay happened, and TOK, and then a bunch of things happened. So I would first start off with the first week, just review the guidelines that Ms. Wissel offers, as well as view videos about each component, comparative study, process portfolio. Lucky for you now that because of COVID, videos have been posted online about how people got 7, 6, and 5s, and what did they do wrong in process portfolio, exhibition, and in their comparative study. So you'll be able to use those videos. I realized that it was really helpful, especially when I was finishing my grade 12, and it has helped me to really do my final touches and give good results. And then also view the physical examples of other people's process portfolio and comparative study. Ms. Wissel will release those, but hopefully, but those have helped me because I was able to see what the examiners were looking for, what are they feeling that I'm missing out, what could I add into my process portfolio, what I should avoid, all those little things that I should analyze when I look at the portfolio and comparative study. And the ones that are bold are very, very important. Experimentation and process. This was the most challenging part of IB and art in general, because for me, as soon as I entered grade 11, I had this idea of, art should be perfect, there should be a perfect painting, and you guys are going to start your portrait, right? So the first thing I did was I finished my portrait, and Ms. Wissel was looking at my portfolio, and she was like, do you have some experimental pages, some sketchbook work, some of those little bits and pieces in my sketchbook? And I started panicking a little bit, because of course it's IB, and IB is very strict, so I started panicking, and then I said, I don't understand what experimentation means. I keep looking up online, I look at different examples, I still couldn't understand what experimentation means. Even now, there are times I'm very confused. But what it means is that when you start a project, try experiment different mediums. And maybe, which one are you doing, charcoal or painting?
We're going to do painting, mostly acrylic, but some may choose to go into oil.
Okay. So you guys are going to do painting, so I would say at the start, maybe do some sketching in your sketchbook, then maybe experiment with watercolors, see the effects it does, because maybe in oil paint, there's this medium that you use that has the effect of watercolor in it. So try and experiment in your sketchbook, and then make sure you take photos each time. Document your process, because IB really specifically focuses on experimentation and process. I think that was the highest criteria on the criteria board. And also, when you do your process portfolio, if you're doing experimentation, don't only show for your project wise, meaning only for your exhibition. Also show maybe there might be, I don't know, one day you start an experimentational painting or charcoal sketch or any kind of medium, and then you say, I'm finding something, this doesn't work out, maybe I should continue. Oh, this gave me an idea for my next project. All those little things, make sure you include in your portfolio, because to them, to the IB examiners, they are trying to look at how you think and what makes your project unique, why you think. So that's what I would recommend to do. And also create connection between your various artworks. Explore, expand, and experiment. I think I understood those 2 points mainly after finishing art school, because after really diving into art in the art school world, I was able to understand my project portfolio much more and my comparative study much more. And I'll show you my little example of my portfolio. I'll just give you a quick glimpse of it. So this was my portfolio that I submitted to the IB, and the first page I just put one of my themes I'm exploring in the entire grade 11 and 12. You don't have to worry too much about it now, because of course you just entered, you don't know what your whole big project is. But as you go along, you will definitely see some connection between your different artworks, and then you will create your theme board. And then I said that I wanted to explore a topic that could connect to my own experience and allow the viewer to connect with it through the techniques and concepts. That is my final statement, telling them my entire process, what I did and why I did what I did. So basically, I did a summary of process portfolio, just made the keywords bold. Then I also included, for example, the self-portrait. This format, I will tell you where I got the inspiration. Miss Russo had published this from an IB examiner. Basically, I really like the idea of how they recommended to organize the project portfolio, because it gave me insight into what do they look for. So intention for the project, artist investigation, idea development. If I'm studying an artist, can I copy that artwork? Then I analyze the artwork. Then I make my own. That's the idea of experimentation. And here, this is the one that I was looking for. Try out and experiment. Okay, so for example, I made my portrait, and this is what it looks like. So first I wrote my intentions of my project. Then I described each of my artists. What are the artists that are inspiring me during my project? And then I'm analyzing some of the artworks, creating a master copy, and then I go into experimentation. Okay, so I've learned this and this from this artist and this artist. Now, can I try incorporate it into my own work? So I was inspired by Leonardo da Vinci to do because I was very intrigued by how he was using the brown painting on top of a white, off-color white board. So I said, okay, let me try that in my sketch. Now, when I do that, I give a brief description of what techniques I did, and also evaluate it. What I mean by this is show failed attempts, evaluate, analyze, and reflect. So in this case, this is not a failed attempt, but I would say this is a sort of an experiment that I did not agree with. I said I learned something from it, but then I said, never mind, this is not what I want to do for my final project. So I analyzed it. I said, okay, the color is just too subtle. I want something more powerful. Then I used the keywords. There's too much of imbalance. There's too much of darker value tones. I want some more color. I want some more. Just analyze little bits and pieces, because the IB examiners love that, when you analyze and evaluate your point and reflect on what went wrong. So that's what I did. I also did some more experimentation. Just keep adding a bunch of experimentation, because they want to see your thought process and how it came to your final project. So I evaluated, I gave my explanation, showed my process, and then described how I did it from start to finish, what I did wrong. Like for example, the nose shape was wrong. So I wanted to do something about it. And then I of course get published the final work. But also you will know later on to put final exhibition work when you're done. And then I gave a really huge paragraph about my entire journey of doing this project. What I did wrong, what I did correct, what could I take from it to my next project, stuff like that. Just keep asking yourself questions as you go along. Then only you would like twist your mind a bit, like trigger your mind to go beyond than just the limited box, the box that you're in. Then what I would recommend, which was my previous point, create connections. Because if you have, let's say, an artwork about, like this case was about feminine power, about how through the struggles I have faced, I became stronger. Then I said, okay, now that I look at this painting, because I'm pretty sure once you finish your portrait, you will feel like, oh, now new projects are coming up because I only focus on my portrait, I don't know what to do next. So instead, don't panic, just look at your portrait and see what could I do from it? Could I expand on it? Act like as if it's a tree, ask questions to the portrait, talk with the portrait, and say, what is interesting in this case? For me, I would say the eyes were powerful to me. I was intrigued by eyes. Then I looked at my past photos and my past memories. I said, I'm very interested in eyes because everywhere I go, I take photos of my mom's eyes everywhere because the lighting really shows that glimpse in my mom's eyes. I said, okay, let me explore that. Maybe I might explore that. So I went along, did the same process, made connections, then sound and hand installation, and I experimented with different kinds of media. Go and explore every possible medium you can that you have in your little box or even beyond. Like for example, I did not know how to do a sound installation. That was my first time I did it, and it went well because I learned something from it. So just try and go above and not only doing physical but also do technological stuff, also do sculptural, something like that. Just experiment with different things and you never know. You might come to a pretty long portfolio at the end. And then, and as you go along, just make sure you keep referring to your criteria, keep checking what you did not do, and as you go along, and then automatically you will feel that you have succeeded it. And of course, this is what the key thing that I would recommend. If facing a moment of an artist block, which means where you don't have any ideas, you're lacking creativity because you just finished your final project and now stress from EE and a bunch of other assignments and you're coming back and you don't know what to do, open your sketchbook and use that moment to just sketch. Sketch anything, who knows, maybe you might come up with an idea from that sketch. And also brainstorm. There was this, I'm actually doing this in university. What I do is, I make little mind maps. So during my artist block, I would say, okay, I'm interested by a closet. And I would brainstorm what a closet means to me. Or what does textile mean to me? Glass, what does it mean to me? For example, eyes. Oh, eyes are very interesting. Could I explore power from doing that? Could I explore the biology of eyes? I don't know, something like that. Just try and keep brainstorming, making mind maps as you go along. I would recommend do mind maps because automatically you're asking questions to each point that you're making. And then next thing, okay, applying to art schools is going to be very stressful. If you're going to pursue art after college, after school, there are a lot of things to consider when you're doing art school, and these are the things that I would recommend to start now with the research. At the end will come as you go along, but especially the first few points to start now. For example, after you experience art in your IB, let's say maybe in November, December, you start writing down what you expect from learning in art school. This is one of the challenging things that I did not do because I grew up in a very different art world. What I mean by that is I went to different schools and different art teachers and different art communities and environments, and I got very confused what is art exactly and what art outside of the school grounds are. So I would recommend do your research. Write down what do you expect. Do you expect more theoretical perspective of art, or do you expect more practical, which is doing more art making practices? What do you expect by doing that? And then when you do that, research about different art schools. Not only Parsons and a bunch of famous art schools, but there might be also small little art schools that you might find interesting. Like for example, Minerva was not as famous as you would think of Parsons, but it is one of the really good historical schools that I definitely would recommend to anyone who would want to pursue the passion I have. And what I would do is to look at what do they offer, what are the requirements that they need, and select a few that you see yourself potentially in. And what I mean by that is there were these two schools. One was called Art EZ in Arnhem, and I went there and I was showing them my portfolio. They were really interested. I'm a very realistic abstract artist. I prefer very realistic artworks. So I was just showing my artworks to them, and they were very interested in the more abstract, random scribbled artwork. I said, that's not what I want to do. My art is more realistic. I want to approach a different perspective. So they had a different mindset. They had a different conceptual idea of what art is to them. A different sort of, criteria, a different, syllabus in their mind. So I said, okay, let me try and look at Minerva. And Minerva had the tools I needed that would help me to go beyond in my art practice. Also, when you join their online and in-person calls, join both of them, because if you show your face as much as possible, it really creates an effect. And ask them to review your portfolio. It really helps, because then when you look at your portfolio, you know what do they look at mostly and what do they don't want to, what they don't see as a good portfolio. So, and then you can see how to improve it. So I would recommend start showing your portfolio to them. Ask questions, keep on asking questions, give them all the necessary questions you have, and meet the students you have that are in the campus. It really helped, because when I spoke to students in other campuses and I was showing my work, they all gave me the bits and pieces, the little secrets of how our school is like. So try to ask questions and meet students. And then see where do they appreciate the skills that you do, and what skills do they require for acceptance. Like I said, how I found that Art EZ was not my school, but Minerva was. Minerva was my school because it accepted what I did, and I felt that I could progress. I could see myself as an artist as soon as I graduate. And then remember, it is about you, not them, because they are there to help you. But you, when you go to college, now everything is structured. IB gives you the stuff, the teachers give you the stuff. But when you go outside of school, you're gonna face a whole lot of confusion, a lot of unstructured moments, and you have to do a lot of things independently. So I will come to that when I come to my slide about how my first year was like. And don't panic when it comes to applying and being ready for interviews. Interviews are there, and I've had a bunch of people who came to me when they were applying for interview start panicking. What kind of questions are they going to ask? What kind of questions are they going to do? Should I act a certain way? Do I do this? Do I do that? No. You show yourself. Be you. Answer your questions confidently. Then they will see your potential. They will see your thought process. Give them as much as you can. Give them your drive. What drives you to do art? What is your inspiration? Just give them everything you've got, and they will see your potential. The next thing is to look at the portfolio when you apply to university. I want to show this because when I was in IB, I had struggles trying to create my portfolio for submitting to university, because unlike you, I don't have that much resources online. Maybe you might not also find, but luckily there's some YouTube videos about it because they started posting it. But here are the things that I would recommend to include. So first of all, look at the requirements of the portfolio, how many pages, what kind of artwork do they look at, and your application process. But this is how I did my portfolio. Besides that, I included all the requirements in my portfolio. I'll just skip through that. Recommendation letter, CV, and motivational letter, because that was specific to my school, but your school might change. So for my portfolio, what I did was I included finished work, because the first, and I made sure I mentioned sketchbook pages from slide 28, because I know they have thousands of portfolio to look at. And if I mention that there's sketchbook pages, at least they will go all the way to the bottom of my portfolio to see my sketchbook pages. So what I did was I put my artwork as big as possible, showed a little quick glimpse of my process portfolio, and you can see here, actually, this portfolio was before I had to redo the entire portfolio. You can see the different, I only included my process and a little bit paint. I did not include any experimentational pages. So that was a big transition I had to do. But other than that, so finish process, at the process of your work, also write a brief description of just 3 to 4 lines about your artwork. Anything, it could be what does it mean and what was the inspiration behind each of the artwork, as well as include all kinds of mediums as possible. Include painting, sculpture, charcoal, sound installation, video installation, as much as you can. Just include it because they want to see your experimental process, how you went through different types of medium. And as I go along, I had a bunch of finished work, but then, okay, now I'm getting bored. I'm seeing all the finished work. I want to see the candidate's thought process. Okay, let me go all the way to the sketchbook pages. Yeah, it's a very long portfolio. Then I came to my rough sketches, and I showed them all my sketches that I did, everything. I just took out all the pictures, take all my, even the bad drawings. There were a couple of drawings here that I feel embarrassed about, but to them it's not about embarrassment. They're trying to look at where you're seeing your, are you learning from your mistakes? Are you learning from your rough sketches? So something like that, and give them a brief description here and there about, here you can see here in this one, I did not have an idea of what to do, but this is experimentation to them because I'm just taking random stuff from the garden and from the house and I'm just dumping it into a page. It does not look nice to me, but to them it looks nice. Why? Because they're learning that, oh, okay, I don't like it. And then I gave them my perspective of why it didn't work out. So always write down why it didn't work out or why it worked out so that they know what went wrong. So I went all the way and I showed all kinds of experimentational pages, and home assignment is dependent on your class, so I can show that because I don't know which university you're going into. Sketchbook process, rough sketches, failed attempt, brief evaluation, process pictures and videos, experimentation pages, and also make it visually attractive, even your process portfolio and comparative study. But keep in mind, don't make it overly visually attractive because it's the content that's more important. But just keep it nice and neat, and just if you want to add a few design, you can. Just don't go overboard. Because I did that in my comparative study. Not a good idea. Before I move on, I've been talking a lot. Do you have any questions about IB so far and applying to school? I think yep.
I don't have a question about like anything that you said, but I was wondering if you had like, since you told us to kind of like look back on other people's like process portfolio and like other things, will your process portfolio be shared with us for us to like use that as a template or?
Sure, I would love to share my process portfolio. Yeah.
I have it, so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I have examples from previous students that I've taught that have offered for me to share them, and I also have official ones that IB puts out that shows like what a 7 is, what a 6 is, and also it's very helpful to see what the lower scoring ones are, so you can kind of compare and say, oh, okay, I get it, now I see. Because sometimes you look at the really good ones and you're like, okay, like, how do I do that? You look at some of the lower scoring ones, you can kind of see like what they could have done to improve.
Any other questions before I move on to the next slide? Okay. So now that you've got a glimpse of how I did IB and how I applied for school, I would like to give a little glimpse of how first year of our school went for me, not only in Minerva, but in general, what our school is. So when I experienced Minerva, the first thing I had was, when I entered, I was very confused because I was expecting how IB was giving me assignment. They would give me assignment, Ms. Rousseau would give me assignment, then other teachers would give me assignment, and I'm looking forward to it because you have that inside you know that you look forward to something. And that happened the first 4 weeks, and we have like 8-week block before we have like a review and then assessment. So it was 4 weeks into my first block, and the teacher started announcing the dates of my review, midterm review, and I started panicking. My IB instincts went everywhere because I was still in that IB girl still inside of me. So I asked the teacher, I said, I'm looking for assignments, I don't know what to do. Then they said, you're supposed to start art right away. As soon as you enter, just start making whatever you want. I'm like, making whatever I want? I don't know what to do. Do I just create a portrait? I don't know what to do. And there was a lot of up and down, and then as I went along, I looked at other people's work. I visited my peers and museum as inspo. I went to the second years and third year. My course is a 4-year course, so I went to different second year and third year, and I was exploring their artworks. I was just saying, I am still not getting it. I am only seeing artworks that are independent to them. I'm not getting it. The teachers are not able to help me in a way because they are also independent, right? They're only coming to class when class happens, and they come to give you feedback, and then they leave. There's no really connection. So that happened, and then after that, I started to realize, I asked a bunch of questions. I tried to use inspiration from my process portfolio from IB and comparative study, looked at arts and culture, a bunch of little areas, and used inspiration from theory class if there was something that I'm interested in, or made artworks as of what I know as an artist. I just made whatever I could, and then came to review. They said, oh, you're doing fine. It's perfect. I see there's so many artworks, you're experimenting with different medium. I just stood there like, you are telling me everything is fine, and I was stressed out for 8 weeks with that many artworks, and you're telling me everything's fine. So I had very limited feedback, and then so I said, okay, let me just, luckily in the second block I had my art teachers, especially sculpture and painting, and those two are my strongest points, so that's where my art started, and now I got better and better. So these are the skills that I have learned, and what I would recommend or warn you in a way as you go into art school. So skills learned in IB are highly beneficial. You may not feel that as you enter, because as you enter you're feeling lost, you don't have much to do, you don't have any more these strict IB rules of comparative study, project portfolio, and all that. But don't lose those skills, especially your project portfolio and your analysis skills that you learn in comparative study, because when you show that and you analyze your current projects and your experiment, the teachers like it. They don't admit it, but they like it. They really like that. And then the learning experience is going to be unstructured, like I mentioned. There's no structure, it's all dependent on you. and it's individualistic, and it's entirely up to you. Time management is entirely up to you. You won't have this moment of, oh, I have EE submitted this time, this time, this time. In my case, I had artworks that were all due at the end of the semester. Now, imagine what I would think. Oh, I have so much of time. I'm just going to relax and watch some TV. And I don't need to bother about it until the last week. No, I did not do that. Why? Because I knew that art takes time and a lot of experimentation, visiting museums, and so much more. So I only realized now, after 1 year, that it's all about self-study. When you enter university, it's all about studying on your own. You make your own plan, you make your own study plan, you make your own idea of art. The teachers are there to support you or give feedback and give you a grade and submit. That's all. And they will also give you some tips here and there. But in my case, I have to make sure I had that plan, self-study for me. And look up courses online, look up at different things. But that's a bit later once you go along. And when you, the experimentation is the key to success in art. Experiment as much as you can. Keep drawing, keep painting, keep taking photos. Take as many photos as you can. See the beauty in little things. For example, the shadows looking really nice on the terrace. Okay, and what if I put a random sculpture? Okay, it's creating a nice beauty to it. Or if I put, let's say, or the table, or where Miss Rousseau sitting, the lighting is perfect. I'm really liking the beauty in that, so let me take a photo. Like little bits and pieces that you might find around you, just take photos because it really helps. And then try this daily anything practice, show thinking process. As every single day, open your sketchbook. I'm going to show you a little, I have a couple of pages from my old sketchbook, but this is my current one that I'm doing for the summer. And what I did was I just every day, okay, I admit not every day, but almost every day, I went to just experimented. It doesn't matter. I saw like my mom was on the phone on the couch. I said, oh, this looks like a nice lighting. Let me try to draw a sketch of it. Or the fact that the orchids were looking really nice. Or oh, my mom was boiling some raw walnuts from a tree, and then it gave this nice coffee looking color. I said, oh, maybe I can use it as a paint medium. Sure, I could try that. And then random sketches, ugly looking sketches, and then after that some good sketches, some different types of media and watercolor. And what I did was, when I was painting this, I said, okay, let me just, when I, because of the holes, I paint on it and the paint comes out. And then I looked at it and I found an image of a tiger in it, or something. It doesn't even need to be a tiger, it could be anything. Or I took beetroot because we were having beetroot one day for dinner, and the juice that was coming out, I said, okay, let me try just splatter it and see what image comes up. And some watercolor paintings, and this one I'm currently working on. And I admit, you will also face it that there will be days where you completely can't do art. You just can't do it all day, but don't bash yourself about it. Just make up for it the next day. Just do that. It really helps. Then visiting peers, museums, art is an inspo. I admit, when I first started visiting museums as much as I can in the first year, I was bored because I couldn't see the beauty in museums yet, because it's just looking at artwork and the leaf. But then now, as I went along and I understood the meaning of being open-minded, or understood looking at the beauty of little things, I'm able to recognize the things that would help me in my future work. So be open-minded to learn new things, because there will be a lot more less technical stuff as you go into art school. It's going to be so much different, and be ready for that. And as well as this whole experience has helped me to expand the knowledge I have and analyze, and it allowed me to analyze through the process I had. And yeah, that's pretty much. And you can see this was the daily anything. I took photos, I drew, this was my old sketchbook that I experienced through the first semester. I did daily drawings, daily photos, what was interesting. You can see in this one, for example, the shadow was looking interesting, and I took a photo because I could see the beauty in it. So the glass photo, for example, or just a landscape photo, anything that really, catches your eye, capture that moment. You can see there's an eye photo. You see why I love eye photos. And random sketches, ugly looking sketches. I just included them all. But other than that, that's how my art year went. If you have any more questions, I had 2 students from the school who asked me on Instagram for some help in applying for our school, especially my school, and they both got accepted because I was able to help them with positive portfolio and submitting their portfolio and succeeding their interviews. So if you have any questions at all, whether it's for a positive portfolio for IB, for our school, just contact me, chat with me. I have a website you can have a look at. It has all my journey in it in art school. It also has my art little project that I did in my art portfolio, so you can have a look if you want. And if you want to contact me by email, you can. This is the first time I'm saying all that stuff. I've never done this before. But yeah, I'll quickly show you my website just to show you what I mean by. So this is my website. I have like all my artworks that I've done, and of course the last day of first year, like little blog post, how I went to met different artists, and reflection, and so much more. Went to different. It will load. My art portfolio, little description of them, and then there are a couple of pages that are still in progress, but this one is the reflection as a studying artist. I would also recommend that for you, not only for IB, but if you ever have time, just write down a little reflection about what you face during the day, especially in your art journey, because it will help you kind of reflect on it, and then you will see where you made a mistake or where you felt like you need to improve or something like that. So I would recommend when you visit museum, anything, just document your journey. And you can see I have like a bunch of different reflection pages. But other than that, that was how my art journey went, and I hope it helped you.
Do we have some questions?
I was just wondering, like, what profession you about pursuing after art college? Because I was confused, like.
Yeah, I can understand the confusion. So because of my journey as a deaf person and spending so much time with children with disability, my mom, I wanted to see if I could pursue the career of art therapy or being an art teacher, because I had a few art teachers that inspired me. So that's why I wanted to use that ability to become the art teacher that I can for other people.
And personally, I'd like to say, I think, especially after hearing this talk, but because I know you for so long, I think an IB art teacher would do really well. Could you imagine, like, being at an IB for a year and then being able to recall all the assessment criteria again? I mean, that was impressive. And I mean, you explained that really well and succinctly, so I think IB art teachers.
Maybe I could add something that it doesn't necessarily, like my husband always said, why should she be studying art and how many paintings would you sell as an artist? That's the thing that we think that, but honestly you don't really need to be an artist full time. You can actually be, work at the museum. You can, in fact, she was offered internship even at Lufthansa, so she could even work with the company. Then we found somebody who's already a fine art artist, and then she is working there. So there are a lot of doors that open up. It's just about how you take up your art. Like she's into fine arts, but you can do contemporary. It's like so amazing. So many things can open up. You can be a photographer. You can add photographs as photography as well as artwork together, and still have. And it's again about how you can take it forward. I always believe you can have a degree, but how you can take it forward is entirely up to you, because what you show to the people, they will see it. So it's just the way you kind of sell your idea.
That is 100% accurate, and I can say that there are more creative art positions or creative positions that are going to be created in the world, especially with more AI and everything. There's that need for creative and critical thinking. And these are the skills that you demonstrated quite well with your work that are needed in the world, that are not easily mimicked by AI, that will be, you can be an artist, but just being a studio artist is one small part of an art career.
And like I also agree because for me, like I don't see myself as a full-time artist in the future. I feel like I could use my time more in outside. So that's why I wanted to. I'm looking at art as a way to help me become the person I hope to be in the future.
So she's into advocacy of the disability and other things. So she's also going to be a part of Human Library in Netherlands, where she would be like borrowed like a book, and then she kind of interacts, and then art would be added on with that. So we're seeing, it's just not one thing. It's a like more creative process, and how you can sell your own story, whether it is about joy and finding joy in all the mundane and the most boring days of our lives, which is the normal, but to find the joy in that and then make it into an art piece to sell. So yeah.
And if you ever have, like during the IB, if you ever feel like you need some guidance in the process portfolio and the comparative study as well, especially in criteria, the one that I really enjoyed the most was the, I'll show you a little quick glimpse. I love analyzing a lot. So if you ever need help with analyzing or something like that, or criteria, process portfolio, applying anything, just contact me and I'm happy to do a quick call or look at your portfolio if you want to.
Any other questions?
I see that in most of your portfolio there's lots of paintings or sketchings done with like a pencil. It's more traditional. Have you ever experimented or considered doing digital art?
I knew that question would come up at some point. Growing up, I did not see digital art as art for me, so it only hit me more as soon as I entered art school. And I do want to at some point look at digital art, like experiment with it at some point. But mostly for me, I am more of like a physical artist as well as a photographer in some way. I also expanded my knowledge into video installation, which I would have not done in the past, and sound installation as well. So I'm trying to get into the digital world as well. So it's hard for me to accept, but yeah.
But that's where the experimentation comes in, and for IB art, for which we haven't talked about very much, if you're higher level in your process portfolio, you have to show a range of understanding of materials, and that means working two-dimensionally like drawings or paintings, 3D like sculpture or installation, and the last one is what they call lens-based. So that could be photography, that could be digital, that could be drawing on Procreate or animation, it could be anything. The categories are, as long as you can justify it as fitting in, it's good. And Krisha did the sound installation video works, which got her out of her comfort zone, right?
Definitely.
And there's gonna be times that you have to get just out of your comfort zone. It doesn't mean that it has to be in your exhibition, but it has to be something that you experiment with. So, it's okay if you fail at it.
Yeah. Any other questions? Thank you guys thank you Mr. So for calling me, and it was definitely a learning experience because it's I think the first time I'm doing a presentation for IB students, so it was an honor. So thank you.
Sure.